Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today it's about Easter and making ourselves an Easter basket. I hope you'll stay tuned and watch. So, I've got a 12 by 12 inch piece of paper that looks like this on the front. I have it face down on my scoreboard. We're going to do a little scoring first. I'm going to score it at 4 inches. Ooh. And 8 inches. It's trying to move on me. Then we're going to turn it one turn. So now the lines are going this way. We're going to do the same thing. 4 inches and 8 inches. And you're all done. Now, if you don't have a scoreboard, I have a video that I show you how you can kind of make your own scoreboard, and I'll link that up at the top here so that you can try that instead. It's very simple, doesn't take a lot of tools. The next thing we're going to do is take a ruler, and I think a T ruler, one that looks like this, works better for this project because of the different types of slices you have to make, basically. Slices, cuts, whatever. You're going to need a pencil, and I'm going to push this up a little bit so hopefully it's in the center of your of the screen. So we want to make marks going every inch, just a little mark at the bottom, every inch, the first square and the last. So on this square it's 9, 10, and 11 inches. Then you're going to do it at the middle score line, and then you're going to put the 1 inch mark there, the 2 inch mark, the 3 inch mark, then over here the 9, the 10, and the 11. Now when you do your cutting, you want to cut all the way to the score line. It's important that you do your cuts exactly the same. Now we also want to put one more mark, and that's at the 6 inch mark at the very bottom, right there. So what you're going to do is you're going to line up your ruler with the little mark you just made here at the bottom, and then you're going to line up the top of the ruler, or the mark. Well, let me make a mark. This is where the two scores meet. So it might be easier for you to do that, where you want to put your ruler right up to both of those marks so that your line is right there and ends up in that square. And you're going to do the same on the left side. You're going to put your bottom of your ruler on that center mark and the top where the two lines meet. Got it? Now we're going to go around to the other side of the paper. We're going to do the same thing on this side. 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, and 6 inch at the very bottom. And then 9 inch, 10 inch, and 11 inch. Then on the top, we're going to do it again. 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 9, 10, and 11. Now you can use a paper trimmer for this if you want to. A lot of paper trimmers work well for it. We could give it a shot so you can see how you can do this yourself. If you don't have a paper trimmer that works like this, that has the cut line that you can clearly see, if you have one like this where you can see where you're cutting really well, you can either line it up at 11 inches, which is what I probably would do, and then you want to take your score tool and cut it, or not your score tool, your cutting blade, and cut it so that this point right here hits that center line. And I'm not going to do any more up there because I'm not sure if I'm even close. And then you're going to go to your score line and you're going to take it down. Now you can do that the whole way, or you can use scissors and cut along those lines. It's totally up to you. And then I'll cut all this out and we'll go on a break and come back. Our next step is we're going to use a bone folder, and we're going to turn back on themselves, making sure that they're straight. Let me turn it a little bit so you can see it better maybe. It's hard to show the same thing, the whole thing at once. They want to make sure that they're straight and that you put the bone folder on it so that the crease is nice and flat, so that you can manage these papers. You're going to be playing with them, bending them around, so you want to make sure that they're pliable for you. So let me do the first one. If you don't have a bone folder, you can just do this with your finger, just making sure that they're nice and straight. Now I made the same cuts on both sides in the middle with that V that we created. So we're going to want to make sure that get this nice and folded. There's that. Then the same thing with this side with the bone folder. You want to make sure that every one of the scores that you originally made are folded down so that they'll be easy to play with later. And this is the last one. Because if you're going to make an Easter basket, you want it to be nice and sturdy. Okay, next step. You're going to use this is a tonic glue, but you need a wet glue. And this is how you're going to do it. You're going to take one of these and one of these, and you're going to cross them over each other. So you can put a little glue like that and hold them in place so they meet like that, making sure they're straight, so that your line is straight. And then you're going to take the next two, do the same thing. You're going to put a little glue on the back of one of your pieces, and then your very last one is going to kind of go straight across. And then it's going to look like this for right now. Now we're going to do the same on this side, and you're going to take your bottom ones first, put a little glue on them, and you're going to make them to a point. This time I think I'm going to show it to you better. Hold on. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? That's what it's going to look like, the first one. Put those in place, and I'm going to go grab a circle punch. I probably would just put the same type paper on for your handle, and I would probably double it over, because if you double it, then you won't have that white inside, when you look under your handle. I'm going to put that aside till it sets up a little better. And I just want to show you a little bit about this. It's important. When you're cutting paper that has a pattern on it, and you want the pattern to go a certain way, like for mine, since I'm going to be doing a handle, I want that squiggle to be the centerpiece of my handle. I'm going to cut it so that we get that end off, and hopefully we can make this a good width. That looks good. See how I have the whole piece in there? There on this one, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to make sure that it lines up. And hopefully they're the same width. So then the next thing we need is we need 2 1-inch circle punches. And I got to grab my circle punch. Okay, that's those. Then we're going to take our clip off of one side. I prefer to put my glue on the inside, but the whole way up on both sides of the triangle. And I'll show you this once I do it, because you want to make sure that you can keep this well adhered. Then I'm going to put more in this section. I'll turn this around so you can see it. There, can you see that? And then what we're going to do is we're going to take it up like this. And if you did it right, your point will come to the very top of your basket, like mine does. Thank gosh. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it on its side for a second and push on the glued portion to make sure that it stays in place. And again, you want to put a big gob at the top. Next step, we're going to take our 1-inch circles and we're going to fold them in half and use your bone folder or the back of a butter knife, something that you can flatten it out with. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to try and get it as close to even as you can. Make sure it's well adhered like that. Then you're going to open it up. Okay, we're going to take our glue and we're going to put some on both sides, because you're going to put it, I'll show you in a second, you're going to put it right over this piece. You're going to put it like that. So the next thing we're going to do is make our basket handle. So our basket is nice and glued. We're going to decorate it in a minute, but we want to go to this step next. I took 2 pieces of our pattern paper and I cut them out so they'd be the same width. Well, that doesn't always happen where you get the exact same size. You can see that one strip is a little bit wider than the other. I glued them together by putting tear tape down there and then running wet glue all across it so that I could wiggle it around. If you don't do that and you use tear tape, you end up having it lay down and maybe be off kilter and you can't move it. But if you add some wet glue, it gives you a little bit of time to move things around so that you can fix it. For the expediency's sake, we're just going to cut it with scissors. I want the edges, because this has got a white edge on it. See that white edge? I don't want that white edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently rub it on an ink pad that kind of matches. That was a Sweet Sugar Plum ink by Stampin' Up! And obviously that won't matter because you're not going to use the same kind of paper as I use, right? Now, I've seen other people do this, and they've stapled theirs to the side and inside, and I wasn't really gooned up about doing that. And then I thought about maybe doing floury bread, something like that. I haven't really decided yet what I'm going to do, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start to make our paper so it will bend. And I'll see if this book will work. What you want to do is you kind of want to do like you would do like Christmas ribbon maybe, where you start to bend it over something so you start with that kind of a bend. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Like that. I don't even know, now that I look at it, I don't even know if that's going to be... Oh yeah, that'll be fine. I started scaring myself for a second. So the way I'm going to do mine is I'm going to use tear tape on the back, or no, on the front of your paper. And I did want to tell you another thing about the project we did the very beginning of the basket. When you do your scoring and your folding, you want your paper, you're doing your scoring with the design side face down. So if you have single-sided colored paper like mine, you want to always be looking at the white paper when you're doing all your work, like we did at the beginning. I just want to make sure I explained that to you. And if you have pattern paper, then the pattern side that you want to look at should be face down when you're doing your cutting. We're also, I'm thinking I might use some of this crazy, I don't know what they call this, diamond wrap, and maybe putting it on the edges, not using the full width of it, but using it on the edges. I'm going to cut a little piece of that, and we'll check that out too. I like to make sure when I do this kind of thing that I really look at the colors to see what color looks best. I kind of like that light pink. And these are all in a row. They're, when you pull it off, it comes off in a straight row. So let's think about that after we get this glued on. You want to make sure my tear tape is on the outside, so you want to make sure that you put this in your basket so it's straight and so it's centered on that inch piece. Got mine a little bit off track on my inch piece, I think. Let me look at it. It's hard to do when you're not looking at it. Okay, that side's right. Then I'm going to gently bend this side in and get it lined up. And then, just to be on the safe side, because I want to make sure that I really get that attached, I'm going to use my paper clips, my clothespins again. I make things up, don't I? When I put my tear tape on, I realized that I put it on the opposite of what I had folded my paper. So when I refolded it back, I got a little bit of a kink in it. So I'm going to have to put enough goodies in here that you won't see that. But for now, I think we're going to look at these and see which ones we like. I really do think this is too dark of a pink, I think. So we're going to go with these. And I think I'm just going to go on the seam, and maybe a few seams. Maybe I'll, do some other seam work. Okay, there's that. Yeah, I like that. Do you like that? I think I'm going to do one strip across the first line so that it matches. So that's what our basket's going to look like. I'm going to have a contest for Easter, and what I'd like you to do is enter by sending a photo. You can upload it to my Facebook account, which is Crafting for Almost Everyone, or you can email it to me at sandralparker@yahoo.com. I'd prefer you send it to Facebook, and then on midnight of April 2nd, Rich is going to choose his favorite. And what I'd like a photo of is your favorite project in paper crafting. It could be anything that's paper crafting, but it can't be something that's made out of something that isn't paper. You follow that? I hope you do. So that's what the plan's going to be, and I'm sorry I can only send this inside the United States because it's going to be very, very heavy once I load it up with goodies. So I hope you enjoyed this, that you'll enter the contest, and I'll put all that information below, and hope that you, if you have any questions, you'll leave it in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed this, that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and please tell your friends about me on social media because you know I love that. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.